Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jessie Grieve Carlson. I use both they, them, and she, her pronouns, and I serve as the manager of external affairs and affiliate relations for NGLCC. Welcome to Sip and Pitch. Today, Sarah, do you want to move to the next slide? Thank you. We are joined by three amazing judges today. We have Catherine Kuza of Berea America. We also have Melanie Handy of Digital Realty and Lorinda Thomas of ADP. Thank you all so much for joining us today. So some rules and guidelines for Sip and Pitch. Each company has 5 minutes to present their pitch, and we're going to have one presenter from each participating company. Following that 5-minute mock business pitch, our judges are going to have 10 minutes for feedback and Q&A. If our presenter doesn't have a PowerPoint presentation, no problem at all. This program is designed to be informal and provide real-time feedback for your company's pitch. If you're not speaking, you could mute your microphone. That would be great. Team NGLCC, I'm going to provide warnings at 1 minute and 30 seconds during your pitch. So as the presenter is going, when there's 60 seconds left, I'm going to unmute really quick and say 1 minute left. And the same for 30 seconds. This is a judgment-free zone designed to help you enhance your pitch and grow your company. All feedback is shared in the spirit of collaboration. If folks in the audience today ever want to write in the chat some encouraging words to our presenters, you are more than welcome to do so. If you want to introduce yourself in the chat, feel free. And last and most importantly, have fun. This is a casual, fun event to get to practice your pitch, meet some people, and enjoy this Friday afternoon. Okay, so our first presenter today is Christine with Salty Broad Studios. Christine, do you have a presentation that you need to share?
I do. I'm going to bring it up right now.
Perfect.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. Good afternoon. My name is Christine Hockeppel, and I am a Salty Broad. Since 2018, my photography business has served the Cape Cod community in Massachusetts. And last year, I celebrated quite a bit of growth in my business, and I'm starting to travel throughout New England and beyond to share my photography services with other businesses that are looking to enhance their reach and connect with their customers. So my suite of services is broad. I actually started out as a newspaper photographer. So I do weddings, and I focus on providing wedding photography for the LGBTQ community. I do family photography, which kind of is a natural feeder from the weddings. I do wet events, often for my higher ed and healthcare clients. And I also provide branding imagery to businesses, which is what I'm going to focus on today. So I'm going to kick off my conversation with you all today with a quote from author Lisa Cron and her book, Wired for Story. The pleasure derived from a well-told story is nature's way of seducing us into paying attention to it. So I think this quote gets directly at what I want to drive to you all today, is that when we want to capture attention for our brands and businesses, I believe the best way to do that is through story. Our eyes tend to glaze over when we hear someone do a traditional sales pitch. And we all know that these sort of like straightforward, hard sales initiatives are no longer resonating with people. So I believe that the best way to connect with your customer is to tell your story, because it helps people lean in and listen closely. So I'm suggesting that you apply this approach when you're engaging with your future customers. So as I mentioned earlier, my career has always orbited around storytelling. I'm a graduate of Boston University's College of Communication program. I was a staff photographer at some very small weeklies to start, and then I ended up moving on to mid-sized dailies like the Cape Cod Times and the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, where I had the opportunity to travel to Haiti to document the work of a nonprofit that was providing free clinical care to rural areas. So here's just a quick smattering of a few of the varied types of pictures I would take when I was working for the newspaper. One day I could be shooting a Holy Cross D1 football game. Another day I'd be photographing what we call enterprise pictures. When there's not an assignment that presents a visual opportunity, photographers are often sent out to just comb the earth and see what you come up with. And it was a great test of of my adaptability and resilience, because it's a lot of pressure knowing that you have to fill the empty pages in the newspaper with something that's a little more interesting than just a bird on the sidewalk, but maybe a kid trying to feed a bird and then getting a reaction like this. And of course, lots of sports. I was a night shift photographer, so this is a frequent place I would be in the dugout. And even when it rains, you're still expected to come back with a picture. So that's a good lesson that I took away from my time there too. And this is back from when I worked at the Cape Cod Times, trying to find different angles and show people's practice and what they do. And these are the kind of pictures that I'm now still trying to show are just as relevant and important when we talk about creating content for our websites and social media. So in order to explain this process to my clients with a little more structure, I've created what I call the brand narrative journey. So these photos on the right are from a campaign that I developed with the Cape Cod Young Professionals nonprofit. They wanted to create a marketing campaign that would tell the stories of young professionals on the Cape who deliberately have stayed here to launch their careers and or maybe left and came back, and we wanted to tell the story of why it's important to keep talent here. So we started out by talking about what the executive director's objective is, and then we identified visual opportunities, and then it was moving into logistics modes, figuring out how we were going to find these people, where the best place to photograph them would be to tell their story. And then, of course, then scheduling everything and connecting the dots, figuring out how we wanted to release the campaign via blog post, via social media, website.
Seconds.
And then we're preparing for launch. So I'm going to keep scooting through here because we're getting to the end of my little pitch here. But what we're talking about here is really, if we boil it down to the nuts and bolts, is changing behavior. We want to deliver value with story. And here's a couple photos that I took of a actual branding agency. So I'm doing branding photos for a branding agency. And instead of just showing them in their office, talking with clients, which we do see on the lower right-hand side, we see them going on a walk because they want to show that they're on a walk, or they're on the path with their clients and the journey. And then also fly fishing to show that's where their best ideas come from. So these are a few photos that I took for a bank lending campaign, and I'm just going to scoot through them because I'm running out of time here to show you how these story narratives help tell their story of connecting customers to their brand. And I wanted to thank NGLCC for having me and for the opportunities that you've given to our community. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christine. We are going to add our judges to the screen here. And Melanie, would you like to give your feedback first?
Sure, that was excellent. I really was captivated by all of those pictures. And you can really tell a story by each picture. It wasn't just the normal pictures that you see, taken for corporate pictures. It was really just telling that story. I really liked that you explained your process. That helped me kind of visualize how I would incorporate that into my corporate processes and how I would I was just thinking, how I would lay all of that out and who I would talk to get everything set up. So having the process on there, I think, is extremely helpful. I love the personal piece that you threw in there at the beginning. It really kind of helped me connect with you on that, and then connect with the pictures as you were telling, exactly what they were about. It really did tell a whole story. I enjoyed all of your pictures. They were fantastic. Very lots of talent. So I appreciate you being on the panel and showing us your company today. And good job.
Thank you, Melanie. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words.
Thanks, Melanie. Let's move to Lorinda.
Thanks, Jesse. Christine, beautiful, beautiful pictures. I just love photography, and someday when I have time, I would love to take some classes. I really appreciate that you were able to show some of your work, which led to, visuals of what you can do. The brand narrative is great, right? I look at that from the perspective of you going in and pitching to a wedding you're planning, or even on my level, a corporate event, and just showing the outline of what the start of the process looks like, the middle and the end, right? Just giving those ideas of what the entire process would be. I love that you talked about how you kind of started, working with Boston University. I would have liked to hear a little bit more about what really prompted you to start your own business, moving into that space in that area, because I loved, again, the pictures that you took at the newspaper, and I'm sure some of those got a lot of attention, and that kind of led to that as well. Your speed was great, right? You weren't too fast, you were not too slow, and that really enabled you to share a good amount of information. The one thing I would say as far as a critique is your energy. I'd love to see a little more energy, right? This is your bread and butter, this is your baby. So really sell your product and really have that emphasis on why you're doing it and why you would love to represent your customers and your clients. The other thing that I wanted to note is, you said you were in the Cape Cod region. I know for businesses like ADP and a lot of other corporations, they are national or even global. I would like to hear a little bit more about, are you willing to travel? Are there any plans for expansion? Are you working with any other particular agencies that you could have to help support you and things of that nature, right? If you're just in your one region right now, that's great. But again, that question does come up if you're going to expand, and what are the other opportunities like? And then the only other thing, as far as from a corporate perspective, again, laying out all the events and special things that we have, whether it's our President's Club, recognizing our large, best sales reps, or conferences that we do for our clients. The other thing could be headshots, right? Normally when associates start, we have photographers do headshots for them. It may be, 1 or 2 times out of the month, but if that's something also that you specialized in, that could be another opportunity. But overall, great pitch. Again, I love your pictures, and just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorinda. And Catherine.
Hi, like everyone said, your pictures are just amazing. Lorinda really captured a lot of what I had to say, but needless to say, I do want to say the showing us your brand narrative was a very good differentiator, because it showed us your workflow, what we can expect to see, especially as a client. And I will say also your, calling yourself a salty broad really let loose and just showed us how real you are and how fun of a personality, which encompasses in your pictures. And then also I want to say that I love the use of the quote, because it's kind of like you're telling us your mission statement without really saying this is my mission statement. And I think that that was really creative and really fun to hear. And it also gives us a little bit insight into who you are and your personality. So I do want to commend you for that and the beautiful work that you do. Also, as Lorinda mentioned, letting us know, I know most of your work was Boston based, but let us know, if you travel, what areas that you like to go to, or just give us a little bit more insight, because that was one note that I had made, location. I wasn't really sure where you were out of and where you, if you travel to take pictures. So I'll just echo on that, on those couple of things. But overall, amazing presentation. Congratulations. And I look forward to seeing a lot of your work out there.
Thank you for the feedback. And yes, I absolutely do travel. Happy to head wherever anybody finds value in brand narrative. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. Christine, do you have any questions for our judges?
I think everybody was super thorough and great. I think it's all great feedback. Somebody mentioned in the chat they were looking for a CTA, and that if I hadn't run out of time at the end, I probably would have done a better job of directing people to my website and sharing my email address. And if you have an idea, or if you just want to talk story, I'm happy to do that. I just love what I do, and I definitely want to work on showing that as best and most succinctly as possible. So thanks again for everything.
Yeah. And Christine, I'll just kind of add to that, right? You know, you have 5 minutes here, and sometimes you maybe only have 90 seconds to 2 minutes, like when you get in front of a business, right? Whether you're at a trade show or it's just an opportunity. So it's really trying to incorporate all the key nuggets in that, 90-minute to 3-minute conversation. So you just have to remember that as well, that, what are those key points that I want to tell this person so I get a chance for a follow-up meeting, right? So I can really show what I have and what I do. So, but great job. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine. We are going to move to our next presenter, Scott from Pinion. I also wanted to apologize for my timer not showing up. The timer app wasn't working, and I'm going to see if I can try to share at the same time as Scott and share this timer here. Scott, do you have a presentation to share?
Yes, and hopefully that is coming up. I've hit the share button. Are you seeing me yet?
Yes, we can see your presentation. I'm not sure if I'll be able to share my timer at the same time as your presentation. So I'm just gonna unmute myself at 1 minute left and 30 seconds left, if that's okay, rather than having a visible timer for you. So apologies.
Not a worry.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, greetings everybody. I am Scott. I am based in Los Angeles. I'm the CEO and founder of a new platform called Pinion, as in opinion without the O. And our aim is to transform civic engagement in America and around the planet in service of democracy and better, healthier governance all around. So I'm going to give you a quick intro to that. We're getting ready to pilot our product, and we're very eager to have people interested in what we're doing and potentially participating. So our thesis, our opening gambit here is that civic engagement is just too hard. Basically, you only have a few things that governments can do to reach out to you, or that you can do to reach out to them. Governments can put up a website. Most people would never go visit their local government website, their county or city council's website. They might send you emails. Most people would unsubscribe. You might get enrolled into their social media, which is probably the most successful thing that they can do to engage you. And then on top of that, when they do ask for feedback, generally it's no feedback at all. It's a deafening silence, but oftentimes it's really angry feedback with just only vested interests participating in that. Next thing is, of course, social media. I don't need to tell you all, we have a lot of incivility and irresponsibility in today's social media world. And fundamentally, there's no transparency and no really practical way to keep up with what's going on in your local government or with your elected officials. And so if you want to find out, is your elected official voting with you or not? That's a Google hunt. So good luck with that. And I'll talk to you in a couple of hours when you have the answer. And finally, at the end of the day, we get to customer satisfaction of us, the people, with our government, whether it's city, county, state government, or at the national level where it's at historic lows. It definitely is a situation that needs to be improved. And so there's a video I won't take you through right now from a group called Represent.us. Our time is short, but fundamentally they created a video based on a study done by Princeton of 1,800 bills over 20 years. The big question was, what's the level of correlation between public opinion, either supporting or opposing a piece of legislation, and that bill's chance of making it through Congress? And the answer is zero chance of our preferences as regular citizens having any impact whatsoever on any given piece of legislation's chances of making it successfully through Congress, unless you happen to be on this line, the top 10% of wealth earners. And then you actually have a complete veto power, and you have a lot of power to get things through that you want. And the basic summary is, hey, the preferences of the average American appear to have a minuscule, near zero, statistically insignificant impact upon public policy. That's a mouthful, but it's really kind of depressing. And then against that, you have this issue of money in politics. Today's political media circus is making money every single moment of the day, always chasing share, clicks, headlines, eyeballs, and ratings. And just as a couple of data points, the 2016 election was $6 billion. The 2020 election, over $14 billion spent. The most recent midterms in 2022 was $8.9 billion, spent. So there's a lot of money in this space. Our big idea, I like to phrase it with this kind of throwaway phrase, Tinder for politics meets Wikipedia for public opinion. And what that really means is kind of interesting and fun and intuitive on the front end and useful and informative on the back end. And our goal is to allow you to be able to easily find and vote on everything, or on the most important things, I should say, that your elected officials are voting on your behalf, and see how they vote. So we're basically rallying people around the legislation. That means you'll be able to see the legislation coming from your city, county, state, national legislature. You'll be able to share your vote to social media. You'll be able to see other people's votes. I'm going to demonstrate that in just a second. Importantly, you're going to be able to see how your elected representatives vote. Are they voting with you or not? And finally, on the informative end, you're going to be able to search our database for demographic information and find out, how do the bikers feel about this new bike lanes proposal for our city? Moreover, how do the business owners that are going to lose parking spots out in front of their place of business, how do they feel? And what can we do to improve that situation? Just as a silly example. Our goal basically here is to be able to create something which is instantly recognizable. So when you see one of our votes, it is a visual vote, it is a graphical vote. Basically, here is a representation of opinion gear, which is kind of a little bit of a metaphor for us. And with our vote, we indicate two things. Number one, we indicate how important is this topic to you. And then finally, we indicate how much do you support this legislation on that topic. So big picture, we're creating a place where the public says, this is what's important, number one, and number two, this is what we would like to see done about these important things. Fundamentally, we want
final thoughts.
Yeah, we're getting ready to roll out our product. I'm sorry I don't have enough time to give you a demo, but basically, we're looking for folks that are interested in helping transform civic engagement and hopefully get our country to be a democracy again, to support us and ideally to join our pilot and give us feedback on what it is we're creating. That's it.
Thank you so much, Scott. I'm sorry that you weren't able to, I took myself off the screen. There we go. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry you weren't able to show us how it works, but hopefully our judges will be able to ask you some questions that give us more of a look at things. Lorinda, would you like to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So Scott, that was a lot of information.
It is a lot.
So I did have a few questions for you just looking at this, right? And I think there's definitely a need for it. My first question was, who is your target audience for this as far as the engagement and getting, this platform out there?
Right now, that's a great question. So right now, our target audience is users, people who would potentially appreciate having an app or a website to help them keep track of everything that's going on in city, county, state governments that we don't really ever get a chance to have someone help us keep up with. That's our number one user. But interestingly, our customers are going to be city governments, county governments, state legislatures that want to spend a little bit of money to put their legislative priorities on the platform and engage their constituents in a consistent and useful way.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful, right? And there's definitely a huge need for this because a lot of times you don't hear about all those issues until it's too late, or just having that information up front, right? I like that you did come in and start with, the why. Why is your product important? Again, for me, I think seeing that demo would have really brought it all together to get a better understanding of the platform, how you're in the beta phase of it, and how you're going to continue to move forward. Overall, you did provide a lot of information. Like I said, for me, it's just pulling it all together. So it really helps. And I'm thinking about, like you said, who your actual customer would be, being those government officials, and bringing this to the table and having them also understand how it can be significant to some of the key laws and regulations that they're trying to get in place for their cities or states or what have you. And then as a user, me being able to go on and say, oh yes, this is an issue, or there is a problem in this certain section of the city with, like you said, no bike lanes or too many and things of that nature. So I think just consolidating a little more to ensure that you get to the demo or continue to show why is so important to get to the final of also what the results could look like. Again, I know you're in the starting phase, but we ultimately want to get to, how this could impact different cities in the future, and some stats around that as far as helping ensure that all of the, property and tax owners are getting what they need. And this would be a great way to show that. So great presentation, just buttoning it up a little bit on some of the things that may have been a little more harder to understand. And again, it's a great start.
Thank you. I just needed 2 more minutes.
I know.
5 minutes is so short. It's way shorter than you think,
Yeah,
but you did great. Catherine, would you like to go next?
Sure. Very good job, Scott. I know you had a lot of information and you tried to give us as much as you could. I will say the fact that it is an app or something that is done online, I think it would have been very important to show where, if go to your Google Wallet, or not wallet, but your, Google Play Store, or go here, let us know where we can find the app. I think that would have been really important, especially given what it is that you do. I love your tagline, Tinder for politics meets Wikipedia for public opinion. I think it's very relevant with today's times, and it keeps a person interested. So I think that was really great that you did that. I will say that because it was kind of like Lorinda said, you did have a lot of information, and what would have been the most important part. And also, I think you were right to want to end on it, which is your demonstration, because that's what's going to stay on people's mind and keep it fresh. Like, hey, I just saw this. This was amazing, really cool. I want to go into it. But because you had so much information, and I know you were trying to explain it all, I think that kind of hindered that process that you were going for. So my suggestion to you would be kind of either outline, or if you have like a capability statement, kind of use those pinpoints from your capability statement to get your message across. And even if you don't feel that you got enough information, that's fine, because you only want to give us enough information for us to entice us, so that we can be like, you know what, send us more information, let us know more. And then everything else you were trying to cover, you can send to us. And it creates that follow-up conversation that you're looking for. So overall, you did a great job, and you have a lot of information, which is better to have more than to have less. So keep that in mind, but good job overall. And I look forward to seeing where Pinion goes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And Melanie, go for it.
Hi, Scott. I was really invested in what you were talking about. I wanted to hear more. I just was very intrigued by all of the different stats and all of the information that you were providing. I can tell that you're very passionate about this. This is a passion project for you. I think, I think it's really great to see that come out of you. I liked all of the examples. One thing that I think would be really helpful is to have that example playing in the background while you give those examples of the bike lanes or the parking lots, and show those graphics kind of playing in the background as you go through and just talking about some of these things instead of having it written on the slide. I think we could get a really good picture from seeing the demo. Let's see, one other thing I wrote down, I definitely can see that using this on a personal level. I'm not sure exactly how I would use this on, in the corporate world. And, if there were some departments that would find some of this information useful as far as maybe the parking lot situation. You know, all of these different votes that are going on for those types of things might be helpful for some of our facilities people to understand, or tax people to understand. But I would like to know kind of how we would work together as a corporate. But overall, really great. I really wanted to log on and see what information I can find. This is a great like one-stop shop for all of that information. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Melanie. And just to answer your query, we don't want to just have governments as customers. We do want to have the 5 million NGOs that exist here in the United States, including the NGLCC, for example, to be able to use our product to engage their membership on topics about the LGBTQ plus community, and be able to use our product to get feedback and understand how they're representing the community they're part of. Same thing for companies. You know, you might think of Disney and the whole "Don't Say Gay" bill. Would Disney would they have liked to potentially engage their employees in a useful way about the position they're taking, or their shareholders, for God's sake, and of course their customers? So yeah, we think there's a lot of possibility for people outside of government to get to a place where the conversation can be moved forward.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, I had a question for you. What is your background?
Originally, my background is aerospace engineering, and the way I came to this is I became a leadership consultant and coach based on things that I learned back in my aerospace engineering days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's something you definitely want to include in your pitch, right? Kind of let everyone know how you got to Pinion.
Thanks for that.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much to our judges for sharing your feedback. And thank you to Scott for that awesome pitch. We have one more presenter today. We have Wesley with Unleashed LGBTQ. Wesley, do you have a presentation for us?
Oh, I do. Better believe it. Now, is this something y'all can see?
Do you mind sharing your screen now? It should work.
Sorry, it just moved me to, how about now?
Perfect.
Cool. So this is a pitch I typically run through with people very much just like this. I will bring up this presentation deck and roll them through the slides. I typically do it kind of fast, so we might get it done in under 5 minutes, but it provides some great statistics, some demographics about the attendees that we are expecting, shows the venue, the expected audience, and the venue itself. While I'm here, let me tell you, we plan on doing this conference festival around LGBTQ businesses and entertainment. And we are working with Gillies Dallas. They typically only rent out specific spaces within the venue at a time. We rented out all 92,000 square feet to host our different panels and keynote speakers, musical performances, different workshops. We will have a ton of different, very valuable events here at our conference. We are also partnering with Alamo Drafthouse, which is an amazing movie theater. They host a lot of events like these. Here we will be doing screenings from different independent filmmakers, also some very large movie studios and streaming services. We have partnered with some amazing people. I can't disclose all the information just yet, but it's all incredibly exciting. So Unleashed LGBTQ, this is my elevator pitch for the most part. We do create a space for brands, artists, and LGBTQ professionals to connect in this kind of fun and interactive environment. We will be hosting some of the biggest names in LGBTQ film, television, music, business, tech. This is a great space to network, share ideas, and walk away with a lot of valuable information and connections. We have been referred to as a gay South by Southwest, which I absolutely love. I'm from Austin, Texas. I go to South by Southwest regularly. I walk away with so much from it. And I was very much thinking, this is something that, we could very much do with LGBTQ professionals. And, kind of put my head together with a few people, did some market research, reached out to different LGBTQ brands and large LGBTQ voices, as well as corporate partners, potential partners who might find this, valuable or an interesting thing to participate in. And it was an astounding yes. And, being able to work with even iHeartMedia, amazing. But how we're going to do this, it's 4 different components that are going to be very important for us to accomplish. From our networking, we will be working with a lot of different people. Our attendees will be comprised of a lot of different industries that overlap. We look forward to them all meeting each other and, walking away with great business connections. We are working with Cisco WebEx, developing a great app where people will be able to create profiles, exchange information seamlessly, make the schedule of events. A lot of this should be, really fun engagement. People will be able to see the latest things coming out in the LGBTQ market through different activations that we'll have. We are working with Freeman to make everything very professional, almost like a trade show style opportunity for these businesses to present and create engagement with our attendees. So, people can learn about the latest things coming out in film, television, music, fashion, travel. It's almost endless. But, as far as, this is kind of the meat and potatoes, the people that we'll have at the stage, like I mentioned, the keynote speakers, the musical performances, the panels. We have some really fun events that are coming up. And while a lot of them, off the bat, very entertaining, each day of events will start off with things that are very educational, pertain to things like DEI, marketing, advertising, advocacy, nonprofit. We'll be able to learn. A happy hour is going to hit, and you'll end up with fun things like drag shows and panels with people from your favorite television shows and
1 minute left.
Really cool events like that. Okay, no problem. Fun activations. We want everything to be incredibly high tech. We're working with the Alamo Draft House, as I mentioned, some great film studios and streaming services, great media. We have media partners in Pride Radio, iHeartRadio, Out Magazine. But anyway, the talent that we're bringing in, insane. Billy Eichner was Bros, The Lion King, American Horror Story, Emmy Award-winning, show Pose, and yeah, I think all of you know Anthony Kurowski from the Netflix show Queer Eye. He's going to be doing a cooking demonstration. The Emmy Award-winning show We're Here with Shangela. But, a lot of different amazing speakers we'll have on board. We got some great media partners, great event partners. We are officially an NGLCC certified business, and I make sure to let everybody know that because that is very exciting for us. But, there's a lot of great reasons to participate, associating your brand with this kind of talent, connecting with all kinds of different media who are here to cover the events, engaging with attendees through very creative experiential marketing, showing support to the LGBTQ community, not just in June. And, this is a very tailored, powerful audience that, is a little bit different than what you might find at Pride and different festivals. So we're very much looking forward to what everybody's going to get out of this. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Wesley. I want to go. I'm excited.
Yay. Please.
Catherine, would you like to go first?
Yes. Great presentation. I love how colorful and it just stands out. I was enthralled by, I want to see more. So one comment because of that is I did feel like you were scrolling a little too fast at the beginning and towards the end, and that was just because of time. But I wanted to see a little bit more about the demographics and whatnot. And I understand that, like you said, this is a presentation that you use for other presentations. Maybe just hide the ones that that you can talk on, because a lot of them you were just talking on them and not really we didn't really need to see it because you were mentioning the stuff, so you could kind of condense it. And then I would say also let us know who you are first, because you kind of went into a couple of slides and it wasn't until like the third or fourth one where you told us who Unleashed is and what you did, where I was at first, I was like, wait a minute, what exactly do they do? So you might want to start off with that, and then also towards bring that whole slide about why we should be excited to work with Unleashed towards the beginning, because we want to work with you. You're presenting to people who want to work with you. So we want to know why it's exciting to work with you, and then show us all of those great slides that show us the things that you do, who you've worked with, who's going to be working on your lineup. I think you had really great information. It just needed to kind of be shifted. And I think had you done that, you wouldn't have had to go so fast, because you had there was a lot of information to learn about. And like I said, the presentation itself is so captivating that people actually want to like look at it, and going too fast for it just kind of is like, wait a minute, I didn't get all the information I need. So
I typically do this in about 7 minutes, which isn't too much more. Scott, I think, said something similar if I had 2 more minutes, but
yeah.
but yeah, I definitely agree. It's a tough thing to walk them through. A lot of times whenever I do give a presentation, I can pass a certain number of slides and I almost know when to ask, is there any questions? Because I know that it's going to be something that, they're engaged at this point. They probably do have a question or two, and I can follow up with, any of the answers and then keep the presentation going. Absolutely. But yeah, in this kind of situation, it is a bit different. But thank you very much.
Overall, great job. I'm excited. I wish you did some events out here in Illinois where I'm at.
Well, we definitely don't consider this a local event by any means. We want Dallas to be the hub, kind of like South by Southwest, where people come from all over the country to see the latest things coming out in the LGBTQ market. And so, don't be shy, book a flight, make sure that people from NGLCC get in.
Definitely. Thank you.
Of course.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. Melanie, would you like to go next?
Sure. Same thing that Catherine said. I was just wanting to read it all. I wanted to look at all the pictures. I was so excited. I want to go right now. It sounds like so much fun. So one thing that I wanted to see more of, I think it was towards the beginning, you had several different pictures of the past events. I would like to see those blown up, because that really just kind of draws me in even more, and I really want to just go and have fun. And I'm in Austin, by the way, and I go to Dallas monthly, so I plan on going. So let's see. So Pride is a really big deal at my company, but it's Pride Month is a big deal at a lot of corporations. And I think this would be a perfect way to kind of connect with all of the Pride ERGs and promote sponsorships. That would be a great way to get for sponsorships. And another thing I wrote down was, how do I register? How do I get a ticket? Or where do I go? Like, what's the website? Or like, how do I be involved? Let's see. One other thing that I wrote down that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned was, so what does your team look like? I know that you do this. This is your business. This is your company. Like, how many people are on your team? What does that look like? Do you outsource other LGBT suppliers to help you with this? Like, what is the whole dynamic on that?
Oh God, not to scare anybody off, but no, I've done all this all by myself. But I'm very happy to have accomplished so much. I have been outsourcing a lot of different important duties to very reputable, award-winning companies, whether it be event services companies, people who are building our app, down to event planning and people who would be the stage managers, everything like that. But yeah, for the most part, it has been a one-man show for a very, very long time. We're only taking on new partners just recently. Unfortunately, as an entrepreneur, and some of y'all might know this, you have to build and keep going with that momentum. And if it is just you, it is just yourself in those late nights that you have no other choice, either keep it going or quit, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Another thing that
I have just been getting to that point, I've been somebody who had to learn kind of the hard way, don't mix like friends and business. And I would find some people, I'm like, oh, you'd be perfect for this role or this role. And it's like, when it's a startup, it can be tough for people to be like, well, wait, you want me to come work on a Friday night? Well, and then Saturday morning, I'm too hungover. And it's like, you know what? I got to just pick up the slack. I have to teach myself a ton of new skills and keep this ship moving or it's going to sink, you know? And I don't mind, because now that I am delegating more, I'm able to speak their language with a lot of different people, whether it be from marketing or graphic design or anything like that. Because, you know, even this deck I made, thank you for saying it's beautiful and colorful. And, you know, I like the way it flows and everything, but I had to teach myself how to do all of that. And, you know, it's nice, because even the people at iHeartRadio were telling me that, you know, we had a meeting and we brought up your deck and we said, can we make our stuff look more like this? And I'm like, you know, I taught myself to do that. And so I know we're getting where we need to be. We just received a bunch of private equity money. I do get to hire some other people, and that's exciting. But, you know, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yeah, and another thing that I wanted to know about was how do you advertise? You know, are you advertising, you know, on TV or radio, or
Yeah, so
how are you
we
doing
have
that?
some great media partners, including Equal Pride Media. They own Out Magazine, The Advocate, Out Traveler. They have been running ads and pushing stuff for us. We work with a great marketing company that y'all might be familiar with called Pink Media, that Matt Scallarad operates. He does a lot of our marketing as well. We do some great things through iHeart. We're about to have some commercials running that'll be on Pride Radio, but we create this sort of marketing synergy between a lot of our corporate partners that allow them to show that they are supporting an amazing LGBTQ event that has, you know, huge names attached to it, great LGBTQ brands, and they're the ones who have this massive audience. So this is like an initiative for them often, and they're able to do these huge email blasts and post on their social media, and we're watching our stuff just grow. So, you know, it's a lot of synergy between us and the people that we're working with. We also do have a PR firm. I just did a interview with Inc. Magazine yesterday as an entrepreneur, which is pretty exciting. So we're finding really good, fun, creative ways to spread the message that are cost effective and, well, overall just effective.
Yeah, I think it would be good to have a slide that says, have you seen us on this magazine? Go look at us, our advertisements on this magazine, or, you know, iHeartRadio. I know that you had a lot of logos on there. I think I did see iHeartRadio or maybe Alamo, but it would be nice to see, like, where can I go and find more information about
Sure.
this?
And, you know, some of that, like you said, it was in the slide, but I might have been scrolling too fast to hit the 5-minute line.
Yeah, overall, I loved it. It was great. And it drew me in, and I am very excited about it and happy for you.
I think a lot of the corporate partners are really recognizing the value and the opportunity. And we are seeing a lot of people register from all over. We've gotten some great feedback from the North Texas LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Visit Dallas, we received the highest amount that they'll give from TPIT funding, you know, $25,000 extra to market outside of Dallas, which we're about to make a big push with some of those funds and some of other private equity money. So you'll definitely be seeing this. We're hoping it's not even almost oversaturated in some way as we move closer. But I think we have a lot of great proposition offers and some amazing talent attached to it. And I think it's really important that our model, as far as the event goes, starting everything incredibly educational with speakers and then moving it into the more entertaining topics. I think we have one company, I won't say who just yet, but they're like, we have about 50 people that we want to send from our marketing and DEI team, because you have some great speakers and we want them to, you know, go there for the education and stay for the fun.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Everyone is excited about it.
Thank you.
Kelly. And Lorinda, go ahead.
Yes. So Wesley, this is absolutely amazing. Catherine and Melanie hinted on a lot of the things that I was going to say, but I could see this expanding, you know, eventually to a northeast, southwest type of event, right? And then Melanie talked a little bit about outsourcing or finding partners, right? Think about other LGBTQ businesses that may be in those regions that can help you. You know, I think about it as well, looking at it from that corporate lens and thinking about our business resource groups, our Pride group, our D&I activities, right? The sponsorships of corporations you can get, ensuring that local businesses as well as corporations come up and set booths up, right? They do those sponsorships. They invite members of ADP or other companies and corporations. But on top of that, other things we've done is look for talent at these type of events, right? There's going to be a lot of members that are looking for jobs, and that's an opportunity for us to try to find new, associates to work for ADP. I'm just thinking about all these other things. Again, I love the presentation. Some of the scrolling was a little too fast because I didn't catch everything and I was kind of like this. But again, you had a lot to show in the 5 minutes, so that's understandable. Again, going back to the visuals, right? How often do we attend different types of concerts and festivals and events, and we get our lanyards and our information in the mail, and those visuals really start the excitement, right? So the fact that if you've learned to do all of that on your own is just amazing, and a lot of it that you're doing with no other team. Just imagine what's going to happen as you continue to scale and grow. I go back to, again, also, I think Catherine hinted on this. When you first started out, I was kind of like, okay, this is a festival, but what are you? Who are you? How did you start this? So you told us kind of about that once we got through maybe 3 or 4 slides. That would have been helpful in the beginning as well, because it goes back to as well, how did you get involved? How did you start this? Like, how was this, your brainchild, and what made you want to do this specifically?
I could talk about that all day.
Exactly, right? That's important. And a lot of times when you get
absolutely.
different businesses that want to help and support and sponsor and give that funding, those are things they're going to want to know as well. But overall, fantastic pitch. Is just getting it to that 5 minutes. And I just can't wait to see what you're going to do in the future. But just remember some of those key things of how you can just continue to grow and scale and get that support of, like I said, those local businesses, the government, the state affiliates, as well as corporations.
Sure, absolutely. It's been a learning experience. And, like I said, I've had to teach myself a lot. I find myself getting more and more support, whether it be from local, regional, national organizations, businesses. I should have mentioned, Gilead Sciences is a large contributor to what we're doing. But yeah, it's tough because, there's sometimes, I can do my elevator pitch, and I just came from South by Southwest, so I probably did it about 800 times.
Right.
So, and that's one of those things, that great segue to let's exchange information. Then we get on a call. Then I typically roll them through this, and, people have been really impressed, and I think they see the value in this. And I think it's a little bit different than I think some of the opportunities that are available, whether it be a commercial with 2 dads making their son cereal, or a float in a pride parade, or, some other festival. But this involves, some different kind of engagement that offers really cool business opportunities and, actual return on investment.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Wesley. And I will see you all in September at this event. So before we go to our community and conversation portion, does anyone from the audience have questions for Wesley or our other presenters who provided their pitches today? Any closing thoughts?
I do.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm Sal with Best Day Promo. It would have been helpful to have some more information about hotel. I'm from New York, so hotel accommodations and what have you. Airfare. I know when I booked, I had a national convention that I put together a number of years ago. We did it in Puerto Rico. We worked out a deal back then with American Airlines. Anywhere in the country, you use this code, you got a discount on the airfare. That's all helpful, so I didn't see anything about the hotel stays and what have you. It probably is in the brochure, but that should be mentioned in the presentation.
Yeah, I will say I kind of have this pitch, this specific one set up a little bit more toward B2B. than the attendees that I'd be going after. But yeah, I think that would be helpful for them as well, especially since now that we're discussing with potential corporate partners how we could accommodate for a large amount of their staff to come for the event.
Do you have hotel blocks?
Yeah, we got a few.
Do you have that in the brochure or on the
Yeah, we
literature?
got some info. I can send it to you.
All
If
right.
you want to put that in the chat, Wesley, that'd be great. I bet you'll get a
Yeah.
few attendees just from this event.
You know, I got a phone call and it threw off my whole Zoom thing, and I can't figure out how to go back to where it was. Okay, I got it. All right, yeah. Let me do that. That's a brilliant idea.
Thank you, Sal. Any other closing thoughts for our presenters? All right, well, we're going to move to our community and conversation portion, which is going to be a Transgender Day of Visibility trivia game. Today is March 31st, Transgender Day of Visibility. We are here to celebrate our trans community. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to put it's going to be a poll that pops up on your screen. This first question, you're going to have 30 seconds to answer, and you should see it now on your screen. And I'm going to play this Jeopardy music while you figure out the answer. So this umbrella term describes people whose gender identity and/or expression is different than that which they were assigned at birth. This term encompasses many identities. This is an easy question to start off with, so they'll get a little harder as we go on. All right, final answers. 3, 2, 1, and we're going to end the poll. The correct answer was transgender. And that word is, you know, everyone has their own definitions and ways that they identify themselves, but in general, transgender, there's the definition. It can be used as an umbrella term. Our next question is, the Stonewall riots took place in June of what year? You got 30 seconds on the clock.
Jesse, am I able to vote?
Alicia, you might not be able to if you're a co-host.
Oh, okay.
Does it not pop up for you?
No, but that's okay. All right.
Oh.
I'm good. I'll say it in my mind.
All right, 10 seconds left. Okay, so the majority of folks who voted got it correct. The answer was 1969. Great work. Our next question, question 3. This is a hard one. Who was the first Black openly trans woman elected to public office in the United States? And you got 30 seconds on the clock. Okay, 10 seconds. All right, y'all are good at this. I'm impressed. Andrea Jenkins is the correct answer. Andrea was elected to the Minneapolis City Council in January 2018. And for our next question, question number 4. What show featured the largest transgender cast in history?
Jesse, these are great questions.
Thank you.
I'm glad I'm not, my votes aren't showing.
My daughter is in here playing with me, but she's cheating. How she using Google?
No Googling.
Right? She was the first one, the Andrea Jenkins. I was like, how did you know that?
You know, too funny.
She's 12, okay?
Aw. Well, folks, you got it again. The answer was Pose, and Wesley has 2 of the cast members coming to Unleashed in September, so maybe we'll get to meet them there. Who knows? Question number 5 here. Let's see if you all can get this one. So there are many different variations of our acronym for our community. Some of them include the 2S, like LGBTQIA2S in there. So what does the 2S stand for? You have about 20 seconds left. All right, we're going to close it out. That one was a little harder. The answer is Two-Spirit. So Two-Spirit is an identity that comes from Indigenous culture, and it's an umbrella term for gender expansive identities within Indigenous culture holding both male and female spirits, and it's a direct translation from the Anishinaabe language. It was not Too Smooth or Two's Company. It was not those, and you all knew that, which is good. And I think we have one more question here. So final one. Which famous jazz artist was discovered upon his death in 1989 to actually have been assigned female at birth?
Lorinda, let us know what Google says.
Not yet.
She laughed, little kids. Attention span is gone.
You know, that's true.
Okay. I'm impressed with you all. Billy Tipton was the answer. I did not know Billy Tipton until I was making this quiz. I was like, and I love jazz music, so I need to go listen to Billy Tipton because that was such a fun fact to learn. You all did great. I'm impressed. That was the last question. Anyone have thoughts or feelings? Anything surprise them that they learned from this?
I didn't do very good. You know what? I got like 3.
If I didn't make the quiz myself, I would have been in the same boat. Well, thank you all so much for playing. Our next Sip and Pitch Friday is next month on Friday, April 28th from 3:30 to 5 p.m. You're welcome to join as an audience member, or if you yourself are an LGBT business owner, you can submit your application to present. Thank you all so much for being here. This was so fun. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend, and have a great day. Thank you all.